Good evening, everybody. Welcome. It's so nice to see so many people here today. It's really exciting. We'll call to order 7 o'clock, Monday, March 9th, and we'll do roll call.
President Valerie Reinfeldt.
I am here.
Vice President Andrea Dicillo.
Here.
Councilmember Shirley Blair Kohler.
Here.
Councilmember Matt Castiglia.
Here.
Councilmember Deb Kini-Klein.
Here.
Councilmember Greg Kudanovich.
Happy to be here.
Suzanne Mitchell. Here. And Mayor Paul Gamrat.
Here.
Great. Stand if you can for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty, justice for all. Thank you all. And before we move to public comment, we are going to start with a presentation of the possible redevelopment of the former Westinghouse site.
Good evening, everyone. We'll start off the full sets up here. My name is Adam Ventura, attorney. I represent current owner of the Westinghouse, the former Westinghouse property, Churchill property, partner in Peak. I think you know, tonight we're asking to approve advertising for a citizen amendment that we believe would really help facilitate redevelopment of this property. So I'm sure you also know a lot of time and effort has gone into the text amendment to get it where it is now. We've been working on this, I think, for 5 or 6 months now, and we've had the opportunity to present to the Planning Commission, I think 4 times now: November, December, February, and March. So through that process, we think we've kind of got this amendment to place where it will help facilitate redevelopment while still giving the borough what it needs to make sure that development is responsible. One thing I do want to add before I turn it over to Nicole is I know there are the words data center in this document. We didn't put them there. We don't plan, I'll let Nicole talk more about it, but we don't plan to put a data center on this property. It's something that's there for another reason. But with that, I'm happy to answer any questions from any legal side of things, but otherwise I'll turn it over to Nicole to show you conceptual design and hopefully talk about the more exciting stuff.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Adam. Thank you very much. I'm going to put this here and figure out where I can take it for everybody to kind of see it together. That's not it. I hate that. That's okay, I can actually get rid of it.
I was going to say that.
You'll be walking with it. Banana white. So this, good evening, everybody. And I hate, I'm sorry, I'm just kind of jumping in because we've been talking about this so long. So it's just something that exciting to at least show a little bit more than just blocks on a piece of paper. We wanted to put a little bit of a conceptual design together. This is obviously still very much work in progress. There is a lot to do on this site as far as grading and elevation differences. So with that, things may shift a little bit, but I kind of want to touch on the high points of what we're trying to accomplish here with redeveloping this site. So as we know, we have almost 1 million square feet of old buildings, formerly the Westinghouse buildings, right? So all of that's coming down, none of that's staying. But with that, we are trying to do, a very community-driven development that everybody could be a part of. And everybody can utilize, and everybody can enjoy. That includes a couple community parks in here. That includes doing some residential in the back. This is our retention pond. As you know, we have a couple retention ponds on the state. So we're looking at doing a retention pond, somewhere up here, so it's still a nice focal point to look at, and functional at the same time. We're looking to do a town hall, town center, just very similar to the waterfront. So we're really excited, about doing that, because I think this is the same architect, just so we understand, this is the same architect that actually did the waterfront. That's designing this site for us now. So knowing what that site looks like, we're gonna get a very similar feel where people like to go. It's community driven, people are there. So we have some growth concepts that are gonna be our main anchors. And then we're gonna have some other great things. We're really big on wanting to do some medical office on the site to serve the community. As well as all the great stuff, right? Some really cool, interesting new restaurants coming to the area so people can enjoy. But the biggest thing that we really like about this, and this doesn't quite show that yet because we haven't gotten into that yet as detail, this is gonna be very walkable. We want this to be walkable. We want people to be able to enjoy the community park and then walk over. Go to the restaurants, get your groceries, do your shopping, but be able to walk through this whole thing. We don't want it to be auto driven. We want it to be walkable. So with that, I'm gonna just turn this way so our residents can actually see what we're talking about. So here's the community parks. We're gonna have 2 pocket lots, right? And I know we're taking pictures, but this is so conceptual. This is so conceptual. Yeah, okay, so you'll look right here. There's the old. So we're gonna have 2 anchor grocery concepts, 1 wholesale, one that's not, obviously. And then we're gonna start working in quite a bit of other things here. Like I said, like a restaurant, some medical office. That's what we're hoping to do. This is where, we're trying to be very, very much about the community. And being able to let people come in and walk and be able to take part. Some of the things I've mentioned before, we want to do, community events here. We want to have movie night at the park. We want to be able to do farmers markets and all kinds of interesting things. Maybe a dog park that's in this way versus this one. There's a lot of ideas we're kind of throwing out there right now and working with them. That's our presentation, and we're here, to answer any questions, obviously.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you.
You
want to ask questions now?
Yeah, I don't know how the format sounds. Format wise, can council ask questions? Or.
You can ask questions. I mean, keep in mind too, there's nothing, we say conceptual, it is really conceptual. What I think the council can focus on is really the zoning frame in front of you that would allow that or something simple.
Got it.
Because ultimately, keep in mind, that application will be conditional.
Yes.
So we just want to be careful, not to get too far down the path of like that.
Got it. Yeah, I won't go down that path. Thank you.
The point that I was gonna make, which is that, again, this is the.
Wait, hold on, wait. There's a lot of conversations happening. Can we just try to keep it so everybody can hear that one at a time? Thank you.
No, my question was, are you gonna try to utilize as much of the property as possible?
Sorry, just wanted to make sure everybody was heard.
That's okay. I was just gonna kind of reiterate what Gavin said. what is here tonight, obviously, is just a motion to approve the advertising. And that is just for the text amendment to the zoning code. Once that's approved, hopefully relatively soon thereafter, if it's approved, we would be back with a conditional use application, and there would be a public hearing process for, that would be a lot more specific than the sort of conceptual thing that we're showing.
Right, this is very conceptual. What you'll see during conditional use is our architect will start to load and layer all of these things, so that you can actually see buildings, you can actually see it there. Again, we just took it from this ugly block land plan that we have to get it started, to kind of just showing conceptually where we want to be able to place some things. But then he will actually be able to put that plan together, and make a lot more sense of it. If we
Great.
see it all.
Great, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Madam President, before you turn it over to public comment, 'cause I suspect that I have an idea about what some of the public comments may be about.
Yeah.
Would you like a sort of a very high level overview that I can provide the council and the public?
Yeah.
Yes, please.
Yeah.
Later on. have a little more
Yes, please.
discussion.
Thank you very much.
Got it. All right, so what's in front of you tonight for potential advertisement, is essentially a zoning scheme or framework that would allow a mixed use development of the sort that's been presented to you via this conceptual plan. So in order to tackle that, because as folks will certainly recall, there was previously a large zoning amendment done to allow for a distribution center on the site. We had a few public hearings about that, and then I'm not going through, I'm not here, did not go through. And it was never actually built. So these property looks very similar to what it did from back then. And, you know, based on the zoning, what would you call this, group meetings that we had at passion.
Yeah, community visioning meetings.
Yeah, they were right, the community the visioning meetings, whatever it was, these sort of community-wide planning meetings that the borough solicited a lot of input. The sort of overwhelming theme, not everyone, obviously no one agrees on it, not everybody agrees on anything these days, but the overwhelming theme to be supported seemed to be a mixed use development. So we were receptive to that. I know some council members have been, you know, more in the loop than others, because we sort of had to layer this, and then the staff had some work to do. We've been working very closely with developer council and developer. They've been very cooperative. It's a lot of really good meetings. This ordinance looked very different than what the one that was initially presented back in November, December to the planning commission. So there's been a lot of work out, but obviously you're the ultimate decision maker, right? So you need to be comfortable that whatever this looks like, you know, is okay going forward. So just again, I'm going to stay high level, but I still need to get, you know, enough points to cover things and try to get out, I think, from some potential public comments and questions you may have.
Great.
With that said, we added a number of definitions, except for the gas station, which would be a gas station with associated with one of those anchor type tenants, one or more of those anchor type tenants. You see these in like a Samsung, a Costco, something like that. I'm not identifying, we're not identifying any tenants because we don't know who the tenants are, but that sort of accessory gas station. So we kept those to I think a six pump 12 total station area minimum, so there wouldn't be massive gas stations like you see in some places. We did define data center, so let me get out right in front of this data center now so we know what we're talking about. So right now, there are no regulations in the borough of Churchill that regulate data centers. And I think folks are all very familiar with what happened in Springdale very recently. Massive data center, similar type situation where Springdale had no regulations regarding data centers. And that's it, that the situation resulted in essentially that borough being forced to complete that data center because they didn't have any objective criteria by which they could evaluate and potentially deny it. So we wanted to get out front. And we've done this historically in Churchill. We did it with oil and gas development. There's a lot of times there's uses where people aren't really thrilled about, you know, the possibility that it might occur. And we have to understand under Pennsylvania law that all lawful uses have to be provided for within reason in a community. So the way we tackled this was, number one, to limit the size of any data center that could come from the borough. And the limit there that we put on is 25,000 square feet. Our understanding, and this technology can evolve, but that that sort of data center would not be sufficient to be built for a standalone, kind of monster, like old data center just to be a data center. This would be more likely associated with a fund and adjoining parcel that it would then, put power or share services with combined services. That 25,000 square feet, my Google research revealed that that's roughly the size of a Bed Bath and Beyond, possibly a Ross Dress for Less. I thought better than a Ross. These are not what you see when you see these things in the middle of the state that are taking up massive areas of farming. In addition, we put setbacks in here that and again, can't stress this enough, there is no data center proposed as part of this mixed use development. However, because we needed to provide support somewhere, we wanted to put some additional regulations. And among those additional regulations are setbacks of 500 feet from property lines. And once one data center is constructed up there, you need 2,000 linear feet before you can build another. So almost a half a mile between data centers. Practically, we believe that pretty much limits this to one small data center if it would even happen. We don't expect it's going to happen. But just in case, we wanted to get out of front. So that's why we define data centers and insert a number of regulations that will regulate the provisions of regulating data centers. Those came from Borough's planning consultant, Patrick, who we've been working with for years. And they are based in part at least on model ordinances that are out there. This is sort of the zoning in Pennsylvania. And so many of our communities that I represent have been in process. And we wanted to get something on the books, frankly, before sooner rather than later. So this seems to be a good time to do that because we're talking about T1 zoning and providing this mixed use, if there is a mixed use development that would want to do the data center, we very explicitly limit that to only one data center. So no matter how you cut it, whether this development is forward or not, we believe that the likelihood of more than one data center is minimal, and if there is one, it's likely to be it's got to be 25,000 square feet, barring some sort of zoning variance from the zoning. So that's the data center. We identified tattoo parlor and tobacco and vape shop because we're going to try to fill the entire mixed-use development with just that kind of define them because we're specifically excluding them from the type of mixed-use development that would be permitted on the site under the zoning regulations. So we have a general definition. I think it's called personal purposes. And it is so broad so as to have potentially included these types of uses. And we want to get out in front of that. And I know that the developers are not interested in those types of uses. And I don't think the borough is really nothing against them, but I don't think that's the type of use that this borough wants to see in the mixed use. So that's why those are defined. Early childhood learning center. That is the most recent definition that was added, and that is to provide for a folks familiar with like a Godwin type student. It would not be, we're excluding school, charter school, public school. Partly because the taxability issue there, because I know that one of the main reasons that driving this professional development is needing to find a way to increase the tax base. That's been talked about for years and years. And so that's the reason for that. And the developer has indicated a desire to at least explore like a Robert style or early childhood type school. So we've defined that and allowed that not to exceed 35,000 square feet, which we understand to be again the boundary. Keep using that. I'm not saying that's the tenant at that time. All right. So the community retail store that you see also on page 3, that's topped out at 160,000. That's not as good as it used to be. I got to go out here. It's 160,000 square feet. That's a slight bump from what's existing, but that matches up with some of the anchor tenant options that are out there for developments like this. The next section just contains the general criteria for approval. That's going to carry over for the most part. Without major changes from what's existing. These are sort of the general health, safety, and welfare type items that we spend a lot of time at the Amazon community talking. Ensuring that there's, noise, lighting, traffic, those sorts of things. Those will all be required to be addressed. We have the submission requirements, which is for the logistical, like, hey, if you want to do this, we got to submit. The land use category provision, that just tells what type of uses that are permitted on this site, in addition to the existing C1 uses, and those. A lot of back and forth with the developer and the planning commission to come up with this. The use review process. This is where it's a little bit unique. What's being proposed. And In this particular case, what we're proposing is a process by which the initial master development plan will be presented. This would be the big conditional use here with reference to the plan. So the developer presents detailed plans, studies, et cetera, showing that they comply with all the regulations. And whatever specific uses are being proposed, the developer will need to establish compliance with those regulations. So if restaurants have a certain setback or buffering, or gas stations require some sort of screening. And during that first conditional use here for the master development plan, all the proposed uses are going to be reviewed, vetted, and either approved or not by council. If the criteria is met or if it's not. The difference that's being proposed, and this is a package idea, which I thought was a very interesting one, and I think it is very beneficial to the developer, but keeps the borough in control of the development as well. You know, we know that how the economy is constantly changing. You know, maybe retail uses are, office uses right now are not a big desirable thing because people don't work at office. You don't know what this is going to look like 3, 4, 5 years down the road. So rather than being married to that master development plan, the developer is able to sort of come back for a more administrative approval or process for some of the different types of uses that are permitted here. They get reviewed by the zoning officer and then presented to the council and handle almost like a land development where you don't have the full public hearing, but there is public involvement, there's public comment, there's vetting by the zoning officer, it's brought to the council for approval. And if there were uses outside the master development plan, in other words, something that wasn't contemplated at the time, it can still be done, but it would require a full conditional use process. So it's not going to be a bait and switch like, hey, here's a, additional use here and we'll do X, Y, and Z, and then we're actually planning on building something. That would require new approvals, full conditional use process, public hearing, all that kind of stuff. But if it stays within for that initial master development plan concept, then there's a more streamlined approval process so that each time a new tenant's coming in, you're not having a formal multi-day, if necessary, conditional use hearing and, decision writing and processing that in that regard. There's still land development approval, or these types of approvals would still be subject to review and approval by council and subject to potential appeal because it's a decision of council. So there is a process, and again, there's public involvement during that process. So moving forward again, most of the next few pages is what I just talked about. I just did the higher points. There are some design standards specific to this type of development, such as parking standards, pedestrian design, as we discussed by the developer, landscaping. When you get to page 11,
this is a sustainability incentive system, and this is something that Patrick has recommended and implemented or helped municipalities implement elsewhere. And essentially, it is offering some bonuses for development, whether it's a height increase, a building increase, things like that, if the developer is using green infrastructure, things like green roofs, or maybe a rain barrel system or some other stormwater management system that's above and beyond what would be required, but is sort of more green in nature, if you will. And there is a very specific point system, which I'm probably not the best person to describe. But you can essentially earn enough points through green development to allow, again, those increases in development. It's purely optional. It's not required by the developer, but it's something that a developer could use, which could be mutually beneficial to both the borough and to the developer. And so that runs quite a few pages. Let's see, we have some parking spaces that we specifically were added for this mixed use. And there's an objective standard, but also that standard can be reduced if there's a parking study that supports it, as long as council approves that. And what we don't want, oftentimes these individual uses by themselves would require a significant amount of parking. But once you have this sort of crossings or mall or town square concept, there's enough shared parking, and there's enough, you don't want to see of asphalt up there. You've already got a sea of asphalt up there. Less of a sea of asphalt, you don't want to have excessive parking if you can avoid it. And sounds like the walkability component and some of the shared parking would address some of that. So if there is a parking study that supports that, you'd be able to do that. The gasoline service station and accessory gas stations, there's some regulations specific to those types of uses because
Frankly, there's not many regulations on the books with respect to gas stations, and those would potentially be one of the more impactful uses up there. So we want to make sure they're far enough away from residential areas, they have sufficient landscaping, screening, that sort of thing. And those were sort of tweaked quite a bit along the way to get to where they are right now. Starting on page 21, is the data center regulation. And as I mentioned, it has a setback of 500 feet from the property line, from the residential zoning district. 2,000 feet from any other data center, which again practically limits to that type of development. There are additional screening and fencing requirements, off-street parking requirements, noise and vibration studies that would be required, water and sewer studies, or at least a representation or proof that those sorts of utilities are available. Same with power supply. There'd be emergency management response plan that would be required in the event of a data center. So again, those were taken or brought to us by Patrick and taken from some model ordinances, sort of the latest and greatest. And again, had we been trying to regulate 100,000 or 300,000 square foot data center, these would be more robust. But because of the smaller versions that would be authorized under the code, I think these feel like about right size. Let's see, moving to the last provision relates to exterior lighting. And this is a provision that applies to all lighting within the borough. This is specific to mixed use. But we wanted to update it to, number one, make sure we had some objective standards in there. And that's covered also in the 0.5 foot candles and the 41 foot candles, depending on whether you're ordering residential or commercial. But also to allow some accent lighting. This is something that literally just came up at the meeting, right before the meeting, the planning commission meeting on Wednesday. And on the fly, we got permission from the planning commission to add some provisions. They were in support of limited uplighting and accent lighting as long as it addressed issues like glare and was not going to be impactful on neighboring properties. So that's sort of the last provision that was added here. A lot of great questions from the planning commission. I commend them for all the hard work they did. They actually read this thing over and over and over again every time we reviewed it and revised it. So I think, Michelle, you were at the meeting. I don't know if you have anything to add about how that process went.
Yeah, I feel that overall we had good communication back and forth. Planning commission was very involved in plan laws on the planning commission. But those were very peaceful and effective meetings that we had throughout the month.
So that's again, maybe lower level than high level.
It was thorough. I appreciate it.
We could get into more detail when that agenda item comes up, because you are not married to this until you tell us it's okay to advertise it.
Yep.
And keep in mind that the advertisement just means that we're setting a date for the public. You come in and provide comments to you about what they think. And should you decide, it's great, the public loves it, or enough of the public, or you think, well, we think it's right for Churchill, you will then be able to vote to approve it. This would be when we're looking at the May meeting. And if you decide, look, we've heard from the public, we think that the changes are made, or we just don't think it's a good fit, then you'd also be able to not approve it, and then we could go back to the drawing board.
Absolutely.
I do know that one of the reasons, and I'm sure this feels to some of you on the dais, that we're moving quickly on this, and I certainly recognize and acknowledge that. It feels less like that because we've been working on it for so many months. But you're the most important people to have questions answered and be comfortable with it. So the reason that we're pushing as quickly as we are is because I know that the developer is in active talks with a number of potential tenants. And due to that timing, and look, that's a developer issue, that's not necessarily a borough issue, except to the extent that you want to ensure that there's a viable development that it has these tenants that you may also think would be good fits up there. So that is why it's coming to you in this sort of tight turnaround. I apologize for that, but that's the reason.
One, it's been discussed at the planning commission meeting as well, so.
What was the planning commission recommendation? This document, as revised, it was a unanimous recommendation.
Good.
In favor.
In favor.
In favor, sorry. So with that said, if you want to turn over for public comment.
Great. Yes, this is time for public comment. I do want to say we have 10 people online, last I checked, and we have 15 people in person. I'd just like to note that. And then we will do our public comment. If you would like to speak, we'll start with the room first. Please come up to the podium, state your name, your address, And you can only speak if you are a resident or taxpayer, and you would have 3 minutes.
Hi, April Fine, 18 Mullins Road. Nice plan. I was not for the Amazon, but what I heard at the planning commission and spoke to my fellow Holland Road neighbors, they like it. So I just wanted to say something positive.
Thank you. I appreciate it, April. Thank you.
My name is Kathy Boardman and I live at 1936 Hempstead Drive. And, it was really wonderful meeting Nicole and her team. And I want to say I'm very excited about this proposal. This is the first time I see it. And, it was very, very promising. I do want to point out that, they want to make it walkable and so forth. And I don't know if you have checked into I forget what it's called, but a transportation plan that the borough is working on that to connect the borough with other areas. So I wanted to bring that up. Regarding the ordinance revision, I do have a question about whether or not the sound ordinance will be improved in that document. I will say that I watched the planning commission meeting the other night, and I sent you all an email, as you know, and I was really concerned. I didn't understand the process. And, Ms. Rob talked at length about, the process, but I still think it would help to maybe in the newsletter or something outline clearly for the residents what will be happening. For example, when you publish this, are you going to publish it in the newspaper? Where will I be able to see the ordinance, the draft of the ordinance? Do I have to come to the borough building? Will it be on the website? I recommend that it go on the website. And do I understand correctly that you're going to be, in terms of this proposal, looking at a master plan? So I just have that question instead of what we were dealing with Amazon, which was an actual, conditional use, application. I have a question about public comment. During the planning commission meeting the other night, I did raise my virtual hand and, I was not called on to speak. And so I'm wondering if going forward, if planning commission is not allowing people to comment, public comment via Zoom. And if that's the case, then I'd like to know why that decision was made. And the same applies to the zoning hearing board. I know that's not at play here, but I just thought I'd throw that in. And finally, as far as this moving forward, it's going to require a great deal of work on part of our great borough staff. And I would like to volunteer to help them identify things that we can do to improve the website moving forward. I think if we could make some improvements there, it might save them a lot of time and energy answering questions, people calling and saying, how do I find this? Where is this on the website? I can't find it. So I'd be happy to volunteer to help to identify the things that could be improved there. And I've gone over my 3 minutes. So
That's okay. Thank you, Kathy. I appreciate it. I wasn't gonna stop you out. You were saying all the good things. Actually, I should say that.
Yeah,
Thank you for reminding me. Vice President Zottillo just reminded me when you mentioned volunteer, we actually are gonna have an intern that's gonna be starting and they'll be able to assist with a lot of these things because a lot of this does take time. So I did want to just say that.
Hi, I'm Kate Kerrigan Hill. I live at 1441 Gill Road. I live about right here. So my question is it a periphery drive around the site today? And I got stuck in traffic on Parkway East
So my question is about lighting, and I'm very glad to hear last week, the lighting is being really seriously considered residential periphery. I was a little concerned about how on the parkway, the house is directly across the parkway, like literally you can walk on it. So I'm glad to hear about attention to lighting. My question is there gonna be a big gas station light that lists the name of the gas station and all of the price on the place, so it's visible to the parkway, people know to get off and get gas. That's a question I'm sure related. Yeah. No data center is music to my ears. It's music to everyone I talk to.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pass that around.
Mhm.
That is currently not in the works. Because it's a relief to hear that. Wondering if there's other entrances in X plan for the site. Currently, there's just the two, wondering if there's gonna be any additional access in and out. And for the next couple of meetings, if I end up having to be online, I just wanted to point out that it's not just me, that there are others. Sound meetings, just not very good. And we hear many, it is not my old ear, like hearing them, here it's fine. So if there's something with the sound for meetings. Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, I'm Sandra Fox, Sandy Fox, 38 Holland Road. I also am relieved about the data center, issue. Thank you very much on that. I see people with a draft ordinance. My first, question would be, can that be available to residents?
Let's just go to approve the advertising. Yes.
I'm sorry.
Once the advertising is approved, the public hearing becomes available.
Okay, not before the. I'm also glad to hear the proposal, the call about walkability being important. I want to say, and I brought this up in past meetings so many years, that we need sidewalks on Churchill Road and a pedestrian crossing at the intersection to in Churchill to make this a walkable area. Otherwise, you have to drive it. I couldn't safely go to the sidewalk from Holland Road, not the sidewalk, the bus stop. Because if there's no pedestrian crossing where I would have to cross to get to the bus stop, I wanted to take. So that's a real issue for me, at least for my personal concern, selfishly from Holland to along Churchill Road, the sidewalk at least on one side, but I'm sure there are people further down who appreciate that too, I think. I wonder too about demolition plans. I have to say that I'm sad about the historic value of these beautifully constructed and architecturally designed buildings being demolished. And I don't hear anything about demolition plans for how many trees would be cut, and that's an interest of mine. Demolition has to be done properly so as not to raise the particulate level in the area, which is a danger worse to residents. And finally, the historic Graystown path, which is cuts through the property, and I would like to see some kind of historic designation for the Graystown path with information available on that. Some kind of marker and what it, you know. We plan on doing more throughout the site. We are planning on doing this give what is historically there on the site. So we plan on incorporating that. Okay, and there was a Japanese garden too that was for once upon a time. It's no longer there. Yes. But we do plan on paying homage to this within this development.
Sorry, I didn't want to say, I didn't want to go back and forth during public comments since 3 minutes is up. I'm sorry.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Any other public comments in person? Great.
So I know some of you, my name is Adam Hansen, I am the Bolt Partner.
And so I wanted to introduce myself as, if this does indeed proceed and move forward, you'll likely be seeing both of our faces as well as JR, our Director of Brokerage. We are very much looking forward to this. One thing that I want to put out there for everyone to understand is that we have tried to make the community the forefront of this design. Quite simply, if it does not work for the community, it really is not going to work for us. So when we took a look at this, we said, okay, and you've been driving past this like for the last 16 plus. And, you know, it has been really a clear community, but here in Pittsburgh as well. So we took a look and said, how do we make and invite the community to be involved with this? How do we get support? How do we really create a good development for us? So, you know, as you make your decision, I would really appreciate if you would take, and, you know, take a look at that and understand that that is where we are coming from. You know, we are really taking a look and trying to make this driven towards the community, walkable, you know, have types of tenants that really fit the aesthetic here. So again, just wanted to put my face out there, you know, have everybody recognize myself and the team, and very much appreciate all of your time and efforts throughout this. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other public comments in person?
I'm Luke McChesney. I'm at 25 Lewin Lane. I like it. This is the first time I'm seeing it. We're immediately adjacent to the what would be the bottom of the green space. Something was brought up about the walkability and the need for sidewalks, which was when we were going back and forth about the Amazon development. The idea of 1,500 part-time employees racing to work and with no sidewalks here, where our kids and our dogs walk, seem like a recipe for disaster. So when you say walkability, is it inclusive of the surrounding neighborhood to have walkable access to the site, or is it more internal once you park in the site and you can walk around? Because I think those are two different distinctions as to what a true walkable community aspect would be access points. And then if that's the case, which was brought up, is how do we get our kids and our other significant others to these beautiful facilities safely in a community that lacks safe crossing zones and infrastructure sidewalks. So I would say as a developer that's committed to integrating into this community, that would be an issue that would be at the forefront of a lot of people's belief that this was actually grounded in integration in the community. So I would like you guys to just take a look at the surrounding, how do we bring all the actual neighbors by foot, by bike, into this proposed development, which I think has a lot of great potential. So that was my 2 cents. I just would like you to think about what that actually means to be inclusive outside of having to drive there and bike and then walk around. So I had.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Anybody else in person? All right, we will move on to online. It looks like more people hopped on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I still have 10. All right. If you're online and you would like to speak, please raise your virtual hand. You will be promoted to panelist and you will be able to speak.
And for anyone that's new, if you go to the bottom of your screen, there should be a button you can click that says raise hand for anyone online.
All right. Nobody raised their hand? We will close public comment. Thank you very much. And now we will get on to our ordinary items to accept by motion. Sue?
I'm sorry, number 4.
Yes.
Motion to approve the meeting minutes from Monday, February 2nd, 2026. The Borough Council Workshop meeting and the Monday, February 9th, 2026 regular council meeting.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor? Opposed? And it carries. Mr. Mayor.
Thank you, Madam President. The chief has reported to me that there were no significant incidents during the month of February 2026. Our office has handled a total of 777 events for the month, 1,638 year to date, consisting of calls for service and proactive patrol engagements and details affecting 3 arrests, making total for 3 this year. None last month. Police Department's 5 police vehicles logged a total of 5,701 miles. The combined year-to-date total is now 11,629 miles. The magisterial fines for February 2026 were $2,215.46. The year-to-date total now stands at $3,150.08. The ticket summary for the month of February 2026 was 27, 0 non-traffic tickets, 1 parking, and 26 traffic tickets. The chief reminds us that St. Patrick's Day is officially recognized as one of the holiday's highest rates of alcohol consumption and is notoriously celebrated as a vast majority of the population in the U.S. However, unlike other drinking holidays, St. Patrick's Day festivities often begin much earlier in the day, even early in the morning with such events as egg and eggs.
You gotta get out.
And like the local bar crawls.
Yeah. So, okay, can I just pause?
Subsequently, this leads to a significant increase in the number of impaired motorists on our roadways and at all hours of the day and night. We are encouraged to be mindful of this information and do our part in celebrating responsibility. Arrange for a designated driver or utilize one of the many rideshare options such as Uber, Lyft, D-Trip, just to name a few. Details and other related statistics concerning the police department during the month of February 2026 are attached, our reports are on the attached police department report.
Great, thank you very much, Mr. Mayor.
Great, Madam President, motion to accept the mayor's report for March 2026. Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Pancakes and eggs.
I will not be. Thank you.
Eggs next. Eggs next.
We're not gonna give you a choice, so just find us in the front yard.
Opposed? And it carries. Moving on to our treasurer's report.
Madam President, motion to accept the treasurer's report for February 28th, 2026, and directing the finance officer to pay the bills for the Borough of Churchill accrued since January 13th, 2026. And as always, I read the larger bills. Alcosan, this was our Q4 lump payment, which is $169,087.57. Bigliotti for $35,633.20. Gately Engineers for $30,183.50. And MRM, workers' comp quarterly payment of $28,162.20.
Any other discussion? All in favor? Opposed? And it carries. Moving on to number 7.
So, Madam President, discussion regarding an ordinance that would amend Chapter 304 zoning of the Code of the Borough of Churchill to modify regulations related to the mixed-use development and related zoning provisions, and possible motion to direct the borough manager to advertise a public hearing on the zoning amendment to be held on May 4th, 2026 at 6 p.m.
All right, so is the discussion right now, is there any discussion regarding that specific thing? From council? Any discussion before there's a motion?
Just, sorry.
Right, isn't that what it is? We do a discussion before a motion, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the idea of the way it's set up is that there's a discussion, we'll see where that leads.
Yeah, and then there might be a motion.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Make a motion for it.
There's no motion, yes. I didn't know if there was any discussion that any council wanted to bring up.
I mean, I'll just say, I really liked a lot of the comments from the public. You know, I know the team has worked hard on this to work with the developer, again, to really kind of work this together. So I'm happy to see, you know, the progress and the, you know, possibility, right? Again, it fits the visioning and a lot of the other stuff that, you know, the community's talked about in the past. wanting mixed use and this opportunity to have some retail and some other stuff. So, I like it.
Thank you. Any other discussion? I personally really like people that were able to come out instead of joining us online. So thank you for taking time out of your day and out of your busy lives to come and join us this evening and listen to the presentation from Nicole and her team. Andrea, if you could please do a motion.
Yes, motion to advertise a public hearing on the zoning amendment to be held on May 4th, 2026 at 6 p.m.
Second.
Any other discussion? Do we do roll call? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries unanimously. Moving on to number 8.
Motion to adopt resolutions for 683, amending the general borough fee schedule.
Second.
Any discussion? Yep.
This is just in regards to the general zoning permit that we currently have right now. It's stated $115. However, now that we're requiring zoning permits for accessory structures, solar panels, sheds, fences, we're going to change the fee of $50 per permit.
Great. Good. Thank you. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries. Moving on to number 9.
Madam President, motion to approve the letter of support for PA 811 safe digging. Just to go into a little bit of detail, April is safe digging month. So, it's getting into spring, a lot of people are thinking outdoor projects. Please, please, please call 811 before you put a shovel on the ground. It's a free service. They're usually there within a couple days. It could potentially save you a ton of money and keep you safe. So, they'll come out, they'll mark your utilities for you. Everything will be good. And then you could finally start doing your projects.
Second.
Any other discussion?
I'll just add too that, there is penalties, right? If you don't call 811 and you happen to hit a utility or something else, then you can be on the hook for fixing those things. And if you happen, if you're doing something and rip out fiber optic cable to your neighbor and other stuff, that can get quite costly. And your homeowner's insurance, if you haven't followed, the regulations, probably isn't going to cover that. So, think about those types of things too, and call 811.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries. Moving on to 10.
Madam President, motion to approve resolution 4684, adopting the 2026 emergency operations plan.
Second.
Any discussion?
A yearly adoption that we do, and we provide it to the county so they're aware of our emergency routes and situations that are available. I know at the workshop, 2 items were brought up. Council member's phone number, so that was changed, and that's now reflected in the EOP, as well as the fire siren. We're going to keep that in there because the volunteer fire company is exploring the possibility of getting that.
Yep. Okay.
Now, question, Michelle, once it's completed, will the EO people, residents be able to have access to that?
Yes.
And I would suggest that everyone do get that plan and look at it, because in the event of an emergency, we've had an emergency due to night and the electricity going out. We need to know where to go.
Yeah.
Residents need to know where to go when it happens. And so if the plan was put together, I think Scott did a wonderful job. It's very complete, it's very concise. Please get a copy of that. So you'll know where to go.
Thank you.
Like 90.
Yeah.
Yeah. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And it carries, and we'll move on to our staff and support reports, and we'll start as usual with our borough engineer.
Thank you, Madam President. Just a couple of quick additional items to note. As we talked about before, the sanitary sewer repair contract, which is your O&M point repair and lining, as well as the GEDF grant fee for that project. Those are currently out to bid. The expectation would be that those bids will be open for the April meeting, and there will be a recommendation for consideration at that meeting. Otherwise, 2 other projects for this year that we received grant funding for, the LSA grant for the paving project, as well as the small water and sewer grant for the capital project. working with Charo and working to have the kickoff meeting with the grant agencies so that we could look to get those projects out to bid.
Great,
That's all I have, unless there's any questions.
thank you. Chief?
Madam President, the only thing I have to piggyback up the mayor's report is, I can't think of a single police department that this Saturday, which is going to be the celebrating day of celebration at Veterans Day, that did not participate in the DUI road. So just something to keep in mind. The roads will be, you will see a noticeable increase in these activity and traffic enforcement highways. Not to make anybody's life uncomfortable, we just want everyone to be safe, every responsibility. DUI is not cheap.
Yep.
Something to keep in mind. Have fun and celebrate responsibility.
Thank you. Moving on to our rest of our staff, Ashley. Great. Michelle. Yeah.
Your committee chair has dropped off a nice tick removal kit.
Yeah.
And we'll have those in the borough lobby for anyone that would like to take them. They're free. And tonight we'll feel like if you have a tick, you can take it out in line with these education. Also, there will be a hearing at the BCA this Sunday at 6 p.m. That was advertised in the newspaper. We also have been pushing it on social media and required here. This is to talk about a potential partnership with Blackford Civic Association in order to revamp their play with the Blackford. So if you're able to attend this Sunday at 6 p.m. Also too, next week, Thursday, March 19th, we will have an AHN mobile van here. They're requesting that you do pre-register if you'd like to have a health exam, blood pressure check, sugar check, we're doing that. We're asking you to register for him as not fired, but we do fill up, that's fine. But I can leave that until 2 p.m.
Yeah, 10 to 2.
You're gonna be here at the bar.
Do we know if they're going to be doing, like, if people want to turn in their old medicine or their sharps?
They're not taking.
Great, thank you.
And there is information in the newsletter that you should have received yesterday or today.
Yes.
Full page of that.
Thank you. Mr. Solicitor. All right. Anybody on council?
I saw Ralph turned up.
Oh, I didn't see him on. I didn't see the panel.
I saw your video on. Did you have anything?
I didn't realize he was on.
Thank you, Madam President. The only thing I have to add is fire department responded to 48 calls last month. We're at 93 for the year. And you'll start seeing the guys out doing some patching. So that's all I have for right now. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ralph.
Thank you, Ralph.
Thank you, Ralph.
Council.
I just want to say thank you for everyone who came out, like, as to reiterate what Val said, it's nice to see people in person. We love to see you. I hope that with the second hour of people online, let us know if it helped, if you could hear better. We are trying to address that as well. So we did hear you, and we're trying to make you be able to hear us. So I just also thank you for our staff, our solicitor, you too, Denny, but for all the hard work. This is a dream coming true for me. I've lived here a long time, and to see that potential of that space be used in something we can all enjoy and beneficial to this area is really something that I'm so proud to be a part of. So thank you all.
Thank you.
I'd also like to thank everybody, and especially Nicole. This is very exciting, and the possibility of this happening. It's been a long time, and so we're also very excited about it. Also want to remind everybody, if you didn't get your newsletter yesterday, you probably will get it today or tomorrow. And the Easter Bunny Parade's coming up in a couple of weeks. We have a new route. There's a full page with the exact route on it, so make sure you look at that.
Thank you.
Right.
Just to kind of piggyback off of what Ralph said, be mindful when you're out and about, the weather's getting nice. The guys are going to be doing some work, let's keep them safe. They do a really good job. They really bust their butts to get out there and patch potholes and crack seal and clean catch basins and everything. So just be mindful of them out there. Gonna have to embarrass some people.
No, here we go.
It's a special night tonight because this is the last meeting before, we have two birthdays.
We do. We do have two
Miss
birthdays.
Brown, our wonderful assistant manager. Happy birthday. Birthday Saturday, correct?
Yep. Yes.
Coming up on Saturday, and we have Vice President Andrea Datillo.
Not anymore after a certain age.
And we have one other special event today. I'd like to give a big shout out to Bob's listening, but Councilwoman Deb Cassini Klein, she's sacrificing her 30th anniversary to spend the night with you folks.
Oh,
Congratulations.
happy anniversary.
Bob, we love you, buddy. And that's all I have.
Thank you, Greg. Anybody else?
Hey, I would like to thank, the developers for coming back. I did attend the, meeting last week, and we got a lot of information. And I thank you for the part you were talking about, the acres that are gonna be there and the acres that are gonna be developed. I think that's a wonderful proposal that you all have. I'm very excited to be a part of this, moving Churchill forward. And I'd like to thank the residents for coming out, those that did come out in person, and those that are online, just to get more information and to clear things up so that we can move on and that this could be a smooth process. Thank you, Diane, for coming to the council meeting. I was at your meeting. So it's great to just see the back and forth of the residents finally coming together to approve something so that we can continue moving Churchill forward. Again, thank you.
Thank you.
I also wanted to say too, I'm extremely excited about this project. I really hope everything moves the way we're hoping, and this could be the best thing for Churchill.
Mhm.
I think about cars driving down the parkway and seeing the development there and stopping on their way to wherever.
Mhm.
And, very exciting.
Yeah.
Thank you for presenting.
Thank you. All right. Mr. Mayor, last but not least.
I can only say, what everyone's made comments about, people coming out tonight, Nicole and the team coming out and presenting to us, so we can get a kind of a visual look at what it would look like to utilize the property. I know, like, we've been sitting looking at that property for how many years now? We've been confident to bid to get something done up there. We're really pleased that you're thinking about the community, how it best fits our area, providing the walking trails, providing things that we could be happy with in the borough. I really appreciate you coming out, to talk about things I can say, have a happy day, have a good day, have my green hat, I tried to bring it today. Be careful with that, stay away from that egg and egg.
Exit gate.
It is great to see, usually when we're having a council meeting, it's like, no one's sitting out here, to see people come out and they get a chance to talk afterwards.
It's really nice.
Appreciate you coming out. Just mentioned the bunny parade. What wasn't mentioned was the treasurer's office has that, mobile office that comes to the borough once a month.
Once a month.
So if there's something that you need from the treasurer's office, you can stop by and get, I just, got my Phelps stamp, a couple weeks ago. You're not go downtown and get, I think they're at Walmart, but it's so convenient, it's got right here. Get your concept fishing license, whatever you need, do that. And then a shameless shout out to the Churchill Wilkins Rotary. We have our annual golf outing. This will be our 29th annual golf outing. I have some brochures here that you can, we'd like to have you golf. We put out over the year, usually around 40-some foursomes.
Mhm.
Go out and golf, so it's pretty sold out.
It's fun.
If you don't like to golf, we have the dinners, the Edgewood Country Club. Sponsors are always welcome, and if you know anything about the Rotary at all, this is how we get involved with the community, how we help the community with different projects. And this is how we raise our money. So I have those available, and that's it. Thank you.
All right. Awesome. Thank you, Mr. Anybody wanna?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Good night, everybody. Thank you so much.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, team.
Thank you, everybody. Thank
Thank
Thank you, Nicole.
Thank you.
you.
Fishing.